Welcome back here to our halftime show on K105. It's time for another edition of our Cougar Conversations look through the years. We are joined now by Mr. Dale Woosley, who was a teacher at Caneyville and a teacher at Grayson County High School when the consolidation process went through. What was that like?
That was a great challenge for everyone. And if I may, Sam, I would like to refer to some of my notes about the prior to Grayson County High School. There were actually three cultural centers in our county: Caneyville, Litchfield, and Clarkston. People lived lives they really revolved around those centers: living, shopping, church, recreation. If you know, this was before pre-Walmart, if you can imagine. The schools were the heart of these three centers. Families for generations, friends to a large part, who you even dated and married, were built around your experiences at that particular school. The new school was a tremendous change, not only for the students, but for the whole culture of Grayson County. No longer were you with students you started first grade with, but now you're with students you had never met and probably would have never met some of those had it not been for the new Grayson County High School. As students, you began to make new friends, new relationships, and even new families as you became aware of other people across the county, and you may sometimes married someone from across the county that again you probably wouldn't have even met had it not been for the new Grayson County High School.
Those first few years at GCHS, what was that like?
Well, it was good, but it was also very challenging because we only sometimes overlook that not only was it a great cultural change for the students and the families, but it was a large change for teachers also. So no longer were you working with teachers you've worked with for years, no longer were you working with someone you live close to, but you were working with new teachers with maybe who came from other counties, other places, and also with different styles of teaching, different personalities. So it was really a big adapting period for both the teachers and the students.
You were telling me before we got started here about how when Grayson County High School opened that there were no walls in the classrooms.
Let me abbreviate that just a little bit, if I may. But we had this beautiful structure that had been built, and new furniture, just a marvelous school with a lot of the new concepts. However, it was built on what I would like to call a semi-open concept, where there were partial walls, and some of these classes opened up into the other classes. So you could see and hear from things that were going on in the other classes. They might have opened up in the rear of the classroom or even sometimes in the front of the classroom. And then some classes that were in the inner part of that certain pod, you even had to pass through one class to get to the other class. So although it looked good, although it sounded good, it really made some difficulties in education.
How did the school evolve during your years there from 1974 all the way through?
Right. Well, there was a lot of attitudes and traditions that had been formulated over many generations of Clarkston and Caneyville and Litchfield. And so there was a big change of the focus of the schools, the focus of of activities. And so there was a lot of change that affected, again, not only the students and the teachers, but all of Grayson County actually.
You mentioned some different in scheduling and so on that also went through and changed, right?
Yeah, good point, Sam. Right. Again, I think this speaks to the adaptability of our school system and also our students, because with this new school, there is also experimentation with different forms of scheduling, like floating periods where that particular class may not have met every day, block scheduling where classes were extended period, over an hour long. So again, these were things that were tried. Some of them were good, and some of them were retained. Some of them were not so good, not so productive, and they were pushed to the side. Again, speaking well of our Board of Education, our teachers, our parents, our students, that they were willing to try things. If they worked, good, we went forward with them. If they didn't, that's fine also. We'll just kind of put them on the back shelf. And even this carried over, of course, into graduation requirements and how the different schedules affected graduation requirements also.
You mentioned, and I know that when you started at Grayson County High School, you taught math and chemistry. Why those subjects?
Well, coming out of high school, went to Caneyville High School, and really math was what I desired. I had a great math teacher, Mr. Abel. I'm sure a lot of people, the older people, remember Mr. Abel, who became a postmaster for Litchfield. I kind of instilled in me a desire for math and a likeness for math. I went on to West Kentucky University and had a double major in math and chemistry, and that's what I pursued.
You mentioned, too, when we were talking before we started, that you wanted this interview to not be about you, but you wanted it to be about the kids in the school. Why was that important?
Well, of course, they're the heart of it. You know, we've got outstanding leadership in our Board of Education, in our school systems. We have great students, but really the students is the heart. That's the focus, and I think Grayson County can take great pride, Sam, in their adaptability and commitment through these 50 years, if we can imagine, to produce outstanding students who have become and are still becoming outstanding in their fields of business, industry, medicine, law, first responders, government, education, music, and more and more and more and more. So with that great pride that we can take of what we've accomplished in those 50 years, we also really need to be working together to help instill that this success goes on. We've got great ministers who've come from Grayson County High School, great leaders, and also we have wonderful parents, and now Sam, even grandparents who came from Grayson County High School. But we all need each other. We really need to support our school system, support our students, be very positive about them, be very optimistic about their success, and I think we can go forward for hopefully another good 50 years and more.
You were the head of the Technology Center as well. How did that evolve just in your 4 years?
Wow. There was one thing about education. Education is a big ship, we might say. And sometimes the rudder of that ship, it takes a slow process to make change. But also it is constantly changing. And the vocational school evolved into just more and more technology, more and more use of computers. Again, our students doing outstanding accomplishments in their different activities of like DECA and HOSA and VICA. And then this was followed up with great leadership after me of Miss Cynthia Smith and now Mr. Matt Hayes, and the vocational school just keeps on expanding, keeps on increasing, and there's such a great demand for these young people coming out of high school to enter into real good jobs and good professions.
What's it like seeing it now?
I'm positive. I'm positive. I'm positive about our leadership. I'm positive about our students. I'm positive about the people of Grayson County. And I think, again, there's just good things ahead of us. As long as we, again, can work together, support each other, and have our students as our really common goal to help them to be successful.
How do you see that technology center continuing to evolve over these next few years, or is that something that really we can't even picture?
I think you're correct in both of your assumptions there, Sam. I think it will evolve greatly, probably more than we can realize, with technology just exploding and all the opportunities in technology. But I think they're on the edge, and they will continue to progress, continue to take to take advantage of these opportunities that are provided. But I think it's probably hard for us to see what the future is. Like 50 years ago when the school started, we didn't see the internet and AI and those things like that back then, or well, maybe internet to a lot lesser degree, but not the technology that we see today.
I know that's the part that blows my mind is I was even having a conversation with somebody just earlier today about that technology is finally catching up to where I can't figure it out. And that's finally starting to set in a little bit for me. Now, I will ask you at least one question about you. What are you doing now these days?
Well, I'm 2 weeks plus into retirement, for my second retirement. I retired from the school system in 2003. After that, I entered into a career with State Farm Insurance, which was another enjoyable career. I just completed 20 years with that and made my second retirement as of August the 31st.
How do you spend your days?
Trying to get things done, running for this and that, going to see, thankfully get to go see some, we have 7 wonderful grandchildren, get to see them involved in sports, and just so far in these 2.5 weeks, having a lack for things to do.
And then I have to ask one more question that Mark at the station wanted me to ask you. He said, and his direct question is how did you endure your front office staff all those years?
My front office staff they were the support to help me up. Mark's mother, Miss Teresa Buckles, was, I want to say my secretary. She was our secretary and so much more. The secretary in itself is a great achievement, a great accomplishment, but she was so much more. She was a friend. She was so polite and pleasant to those students as they came through the door. I just can't speak enough about Miss Teresa Buckles and what she meant and does still continue to mean to me and to the Grayson County Technology Center.
I appreciate you taking the time here for today's Cougar Conversations. We'll have more looks throughout the years and an extended interview from this that will be coming up on the K105 YouTube channel over this weekend. We'll now get back to the action here on K105.